My boss fired me for taking my legally allowed breaks. Welcome to /regrets. Like and subscribe for more Reddit-like stories. Enjoy! I worked for a mid-sized logistics company that handled everything from inventory to fleet coordination for retail stores. Nothing glamorous, mostly spreadsheets, customer calls, shipment tracking. But the job paid decently, had health benefits, and was supposed to offer internal growth, whatever that meant. At first, I thought I'd landed in a normal workplace. The team was friendly enough. I got a company laptop, and I was told I could take 2 15-minute breaks and 1-hour lunch each day, as per labor law in our state. But it didn't take long for the mask to slip. My first break came on day 3. I stepped outside with my coffee at 10:30 like the onboarding packet said. 5 minutes in, my manager, let's call her M, walked past and gave me the coldest glare. I waved. She didn't wave back. When I returned to my desk, she was waiting for me. She asked where I had been. I told her, just taking my scheduled break. She scoffed and said, around here we work through it. No one's watching the clock. I thought she was joking. But she wasn't. By the next week, I noticed no one left their desks except for bathroom breaks. Not even to eat. People had granola bars and instant coffee stashed in drawers. The break room was spotless, untouched. It was like working inside a factory where time itself was rationed. She also created this weird internal ranking system no one understood. One day you'd be in the top 3 team players. The next, you'd get a direct message saying you needed to rebalance your contribution. It was all subjective, vague, but she used it to divide and control us. Team meetings turned into public humiliation sessions. She'd ask impossible questions, like exact data from spreadsheets 3 months ago, just so she could prove we were unprepared. When someone stumbled, she'd say, "This is why I can't recommend anyone for promotion." She encouraged subtle manipulation too. She started asking us to report on each other. If you notice someone stepping away from their desk too often, just let me know. We're all responsible for each other. It was a thinly veiled invitation to snitch. And it worked. People I trusted started pulling away. The whole place became paranoid. At one bizarre point, she enforced a mandatory morning mantra on Slack. Everyone had to send a positive message before 9 a.m., or she'd mark you for passive negativity. One time I forgot, and she called me out publicly. Some people start the day with dead energy. That's infectious. She blocked vacation requests too. Anytime someone asked, it was not the best time. Meanwhile, she let some employees leave whenever she wanted but denied others, with zero consistency. Pure control. Even worse, she'd change project deadlines last minute, forcing failures, then blame the team for not adapting to market changes. It was active sabotage to justify punishing us. And when someone finally quit, she made a point to send public emails like, "We wish them luck as they pursue what they believe is a better fit," always dripping with passive-aggressive tones implying they were weak or disloyal. I asked one of my coworkers, a guy in IT, why no one took breaks. He looked around, lowered his voice, and said, "Last person who did got performance warnings and was let go. They're watching." That should have been my red flag. But I was young, ambitious, and naive. So I kept my head down and played along. No breaks, lunch at my desk, emails after hours. I started taking pride in being the last one to log off at night. I thought I was building a reputation. What I was really building was burnout. M loved power. She wore it like perfume, thick and choking. She had this habit of sending calendar reminders for meetings that didn't exist, then reprimanding you for not attending. The first time she did it, I missed a random Q3 sync-up, scheduled for 7 a.m. It wasn't on the official team calendar, just on hers. I came in at 8 o'clock like normal and got written up. I tried explaining, but she cut me off mid-sentence. "Your time here is a privilege, not a right." She started scheduling one-on-one check-ins during lunch hours. Always unannounced, always last minute. If I brought food into the meeting, she'd make comments like, "I guess some people value sandwiches over accountability." And then there were the Slack messages. Cold, clipped, always passive-aggressive. She'd at me in front of the whole team for the smallest delay, even when she was the one who caused it. If I posted an update in the team chat, she'd DM me privately and say, "Let's keep your enthusiasm professional, okay?" One time, she called me into her office and accused me of creating negative energy because I wasn't smiling enough on Zoom calls. Another time, I used sick leave after getting food poisoning. I sent in my doctor's note and everything. When I returned, she pulled me aside and said, "Next time, try to manage your personal health better. We're a team. When you vanish, others suffer." I was shocked. I literally puked for 36 hours straight and still apologized when I came back. M also had this sinister little game she played with promotions. She'd hint at potential growth opportunities, dangle imaginary raises, then pull the rug out by saying things like, "You need to show more initiative." When I asked what that meant, she said, "That's the kind of question someone without initiative would ask." I once caught her watching someone's screen via remote desktop access. I asked if that was allowed. She said, "Managers have oversight privileges. Nothing to worry about if you're not hiding anything." She micromanaged everything, from how we worded emails to which browser tabs were open during meetings. She once called out a coworker for having a tab labeled LinkedIn open during a presentation. The coworker got demoted a week later. But the worst. She'd randomly revoke calendar permissions to mess with schedules. She'd change meeting times last minute and then say, "It was always 3:30, check your invite," knowing full well she altered it 10 minutes ago. She didn't manage. She dominated. By month 3, my anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't sleep. My appetite was gone. My partner begged me to quit. I told them I needed the income. We were saving to move out of our tiny apartment, and I didn't want to start from zero again. So I compromised. I started taking 1 break per day, just 15 minutes to breathe. I'd walk 2 blocks, sit at a bench, and listen to white noise just to reset. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't clock out. I just disappeared. It worked. For a while. Until one day, I came back to find a sticky note on my screen. "Come see me, the manager." Same woman who'd glared at me weeks earlier. I walked into her office. She slid a paper across her desk. A written warning. Unauthorized breaks, excessive time away from desk, failure to inform supervisor. I calmly told her I was taking the break I was legally entitled to. She smiled and said, "This company doesn't operate on the law. We operate on performance." I wanted to scream. But instead, I asked for clarification. Was she telling me I wasn't allowed to take my legally mandated break? She smirked. "Take too many liberties, and you'll find yourself with plenty of time off." It was a threat, thinly veiled, but clear. So I documented it. Everything. Every email, every warning, every conversation. I started taking notes and sending follow-ups to myself from my personal email. I even recorded a few conversations with my phone in my pocket. State law allowed one-party consent. She didn't know that. Then came the performance review. Despite logging over 60 hours a week, handling more clients than anyone else, and getting 0 customer complaints, I was underperforming. I was told my attitude was poor and I wasn't aligning with the culture. The same day, I got a final warning for insubordination. No explanation. I knew what was coming. I was being pushed out. So I acted. I sent an anonymous tip to the state's Department of Labor and filed a formal complaint with OSHA regarding break violations and work hour abuse. But I didn't stop there. I reached out to a friend who was a labor attorney and asked for guidance. They helped me draft a whistleblower protection request and advised me to hold on, not quit. Let them fire me. 2 weeks later, they did. I was escorted out with no warning. Final paycheck will be mailed, they said. No explanation. Just security and silence. My coworkers were too scared to look at me, but I had already submitted the full package to the Department of Labor. Time logs, audio files, emails, screenshots of Slack messages discouraging break usage, even the onboarding packet that clearly promised legally required breaks. 3 months later, I got a call. Not only was the company being investigated, they were being audited for multiple labor violations. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who had spoken up. My complaint triggered an internal review, and 3 other former employees came forward anonymously. I stayed quiet. Let the process unfold. The company's HR manager resigned during the investigation. My former manager was placed on leave. But it didn't stop there. The Department of Labor imposed fines in the hundreds of thousands. They had to pay back wages, penalties, and damages. Their reputation tanked. Clients pulled contracts. The logistics company, once mid-sized and rising, was publicly disgraced. 6 months after firing me, they shut down entirely. I got a settlement. It wasn't huge, but it was validation. I used it to move across the country and start over. I freelance now. Set my own hours. I take lunch whenever I want. Outside, in the sun, without fear. Sometimes I still get emails from old coworkers. Most got new jobs. Some went into therapy. One confessed she cried in her car every day and didn't know how she stayed so long. I know how. We were afraid. Afraid to lose income, afraid to rock the boat, afraid to be labeled difficult. But I learned something. Silence protects no one but the abuser. And I refuse to stay silent again. So what you think? What was your favorite or worst part? Share, like, and subscribe for more.